our text, praise the Lord, Bartimaeus seeks somebody who's qualified. He doesn't go to the crowd. He doesn't go to the disciples. He doesn't go to Peter, James, or John, but he goes to Jesus. And in the Gospel of Mark, Jesus has already demonstrated that he's qualified to address Bartimaeus' situation. And before we get to Mark chapter 10, before we get to the story of Bartimaeus, Jesus has already healed the sick. Jesus has already cast out demons. Jesus has already taught with power. Jesus has already demonstrated that he's qualified to address this man's situation. And what about you? What has the Lord already done for you? Has he ever healed you? Has he ever touched you? Has he ever encouraged you? Has he ever come through for you? Has he ever worked it out for you? Has he ever lifted you up? Has he ever picked you up? Has he ever held you up? And if he did it before, he'll do it again. And if he did it last time, then he'll do it this time. If he did it back then he'll do it right now. And that's why you've got to take your problems to the Lord. And sometimes the only one who can really do something about your problem is the Lord. And just in case you don't know already, I want to let you know that can't nobody do you like Jesus. Can't nobody do you like the Lord. And this year, if you find yourself going through, take it to the Lord. This year, if you're having a hard time, take it to the Lord. This year, when times get tough, take it to the Lord. This year, when the road is rough, take it to the Lord. When you're hurting, take it to the Lord. When you're weak, take it to the Lord. When you're confused, take it to the Lord. You've got to know where your help comes from. And you should take it to the Lord, because the Lord is able. And even if the Lord takes longer than you want the Lord to take to move in your situation, always know that the Lord is able. And just because the Lord has not done it doesn't mean that the Lord is not going to do it. And I imagine that this isn't the first time Bartimaeus has been sitting in this particular location. See, the text describes Bartimaeus as a blind beggar. The writer uses the term beggar as an adjective to describe the identity of Bartimaeus. And just as cooks cook and teachers teach and writers write, so beggars beg. So this language suggests that begging had become a lifestyle for Bartimaeus. And if begging had become a lifestyle, we can surmise that Bartimaeus had been waiting quite some time for his opportunity to see a change in his life. And the truth of the matter is, just because it doesn't happen right away doesn't mean that the Lord is not making a way. Now, last summer, several of us at Pleasant Grove did evangelistic work in the community on a Saturday morning. We put door hangers up throughout the community, inviting people to our Night with the Neighbors worship celebration. And we were so excited. We were soldiers in the army of the Lord, out to win the world for Jesus. We went to take the city in the name of the Lord. And on the night of this worship service, I was confident that we were going to have a multitude of people because of our door hangers. But on the night of this worship service, nobody was here because of our door hangers. And I said, that's okay. Just because they didn't come on Friday night doesn't mean they ain't gonna come on Sunday morning. But Sunday after Sunday passed, week after week passed, month after month passed, but nobody was here because of our door hangers. So I came to the conclusion that this was not an effective way to reach people in the 21st century. I came to the conclusion that this was not the best use of our resources and our time. But on the third Sunday in December, Jennifer Jennings, one of 5 people who joined church on that day, walked down the aisle. And so when I met her last week, I said, so how did you hear about Pleasant Grove anyway? And she said, one day this summer, there was a door hanger on my door. And just because it doesn't happen right away, just because you don't see results right away, doesn't mean that God is not making a way. So guess what? We're going to reach out to the community again. We're going to do door hangers again. And we're going to keep doing it and keep doing it and keep doing it. Delay does not mean denied. Not now does not mean not ever. And it doesn't mean that God is not in it. It doesn't mean that God is not working. It doesn't mean that God is not able. And whether you realize it or not, you always got to know that God is able. Even if you're not able, God is able. God is able to bless you. God is able to build you. God is able to carry you. God is able to keep you. God is able to deliver deliver you. God is able to direct you. God is able to fix you.